Hello, and welcome to another edition of Chip Shots. I'm your host, Gary Mack, and it's a quiet week on the golf tours because of the Olympics. Everybody's off. There was some action, but the men played in the singles uh, finals for the Olympic medal, and congratulations to Xander Schauffele for winning the gold medal for Team USA. And Rory Sabatini won silver for Slovakia, and coming in third was C.D. Pan, and he wins the bronze in a playoff with Colin Morikawa and five others. Seven guys tied for the bronze medal, and they had a playoff. And C.T. Pan came out on top. So congratulations to CT and all the winners. Now on the European tour, they played a little event, and it was called the ISPS Honda World Invitational. It was a tri spent tri sanctioned event in Ireland. The European Tour, the LPGA Tour, and the Ladies European Tour, all playing on the same course. And the winner in the men's division was Daniel Gavins. He took home the title there with Englishman Jordan Smith and David Horsey, who were 1 and 2 going into the final round, struggled, and Horsey finished second, and Smith finished a third. On the women's side of the event, Kajari Anna Nukorn, uh, she was the eventual winner in the ladies' side of that event. Now the ladies they're in Japan and they're playing now their Olympic event, and there could be trouble ahead for them because there is a big storm coming, and they may have to cut it to 54 holes, the event, but they're watching the storm very carefully. And ladies are really, it is hot there. It was 100 degrees yesterday for the first round of the ladies event. And in fact, a couple of caddies went down. One in particular, Lexi Thompson's caddy, had to come off the course. It was so hot, and he got a little heat stroke there. But so we'll see how the ladies hold up. Nelly Corda was one stroke out of the lead at that time, but we'll have the results next week for you in that event. But this week, I've got a great interview that I did some time ago. It's a couple of years old, but it's a terrific interview with Barney Adams, the founder of Adams Golf, and many innovations in the world of golf came from Mr. Adams. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we're going to start that right after this message. Adams and Barney, welcome to Talking Golf with Gary.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Barney, so talk to us a little bit about Adams Golf, and it was quite an innovative company. And how did you get started in that? You had been involved in a number of other industries. You got into the golf industry. You talk a little bit about Adams Golf?
Yeah, I actually ended up writing a book about it because it's such a long, convoluted story that I'd be on for hours. I don't think that would work very well. Golf is a game of passion. People get involved with the game or play the game and they love it, and they just, it becomes a significant factor for them. In my case, I'd always had an interest in golf equipment going all the way back to one of my first jobs at a golf course. I was a club cleaner, and I actually noticed what clubs were dirtier than others, and kind of took note of that because the ones that didn't get used very much, I wanted to know why, and stupid stuff like that. It just all stuck with me, and that thought process that came to fruition when I was a custom fitter, and my customers always wanted help hitting the long second shot off the ground, and frankly, my clubs weren't very good at the job. I didn't think the design was correct. And to back up a step, that's a pretty fundamental point, because golf clubs, especially in the old days, it's like wood, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
When you had a driver, then you might have a 1-3-5 wood or something like that. And the 3 and the 5 woods were kind of looked like mini drivers. They all looked alike.
Right.
Set of irons. The process for making a set of irons is you would design a 4 iron and an 8 iron, and then fill in the set. The 4 iron being the transition club from the long irons to the mid irons, and the 8 iron being the transition club from the mid irons to the short irons. And if you would show somebody, like a tour player, for example, a set of irons, inevitably the first club he would pick would be the 8 iron, because to see how well you were able to transition. Well, if you think about that process, and if you think about all the variables that go into making a club, the length of the club, the weight of the club, the loft, the lie, and so on and so forth, and you're trying to accomplish this set of consistent parabolas, so to speak. And I'm talking about the ball flight.
Right.
The ball leaves the ground, goes in the air, comes down to the ground X yards away. And then you use a different club to do the same parabola, but maybe 10 yards shorter. And then 10 yards shorter, and that becomes, of course, a set of golf clubs.
Right.
Well, mathematically speaking, with all of those variables, in order to achieve those parabolas, your strike has to be consistent. Otherwise, it would be chaos. Well, last I looked, very few golfers had that consistent strike.
There's a lot of chaos.
Yeah, and then so in my mind, thinking or designing golf clubs changed from that methodology, if you will, to doing it backwards, saying, okay, I've got golfer X here, they're trying to hit the ball a certain distance, let's say, relative to their skill, make them a club that it gives them a chance to achieve that. Once you accomplish that, then they want to hit one, let's say, a little shorter. You start long and work short.
Right.
Well, the next one doesn't have to look like the one that you just did. It doesn't have to be a sibling, so to speak. It could be longer. It could be shorter. It could be anything. It's the idea of getting to that destination point with the most aid that you can give to the golfer. And in that thinking, I designed a club for my students, let's say, or my customers, when I was a custom fitter, to help them get the ball off the ground and so on. And it was designed specifically for that objective, because, again, thinking about it in a different way, let's say, the driver, you have ball on tee. Well, to make another club that looks like a driver, roughly, but now you put the ball on the ground, didn't make any sense to me, because that's a completely different environment. So you've got ball on tee, ball on ground, ball on sand, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my thinking always was to make clubs that were more relative to the striking environment. That thought process became a club that I named the Tie Lies, a fairway wood, which went on to be very, very successful, and it took me from, a hand-to-mouth living to a company that grew very, very rapidly, and we were very lucky. That's the short version, but the long version, like I say, would take very long.
And as you say, the Tight Lies was very successful. It really revolutionized the fairway woods market.
Yeah, the whole approach. You don't see quite that slavery, let's say, to match sets anymore. It used to be, like I said, the match set thing was a big deal, but you don't see that so much anymore. You see a set of irons, of course, but even within that set of irons, because that's how we made clubs, that we replaced the long irons with hybrids, but still made them somewhat of a set of irons and so on. So, yeah, like I say, we were very fortunate.
Yeah, and even within a set of clubs nowadays, even on the pro tours, you don't see, guys will mix and match styles and even brands, and that's something you really didn't see years ago, I don't think.
Yeah, very much so. Yes, very much so. And they will. It can get so specific that if they're playing a course that, let's say, has unusual sand in the traps, could be super course or something like that.
Right.
They may even change wedges for that particular tournament to facilitate ball and sand.
Well, of course, the Tight Lies was a major innovation in the world of golf, but was there any other innovations from Adams Golf that era or that time period of your life that you're most proud about?
Well, we took the hybrids from being, like, say, standalone clubs to part of a set of golf clubs, and I like that approach because, again, in my mind, I was making clubs for average players, people who struggled getting the ball up in the air off of a tight lie, people who didn't hit the ball perfectly all the time. And the more I could do to, give them more enjoyment with the shots, that was always the objective.
And then you, in 2012, I believe you sold the company TaylorMade to TaylorMade Adidas. What made you sell at that time?
Well, first place, I was really out of it by then. We had gone public in 1998, and when you go public, you effectively have sold your company.
Right.
And I was retired by then. We had a management team. We had a very competent management team running the place, and there were a series of situations, incidents, if you will, that resulted in them deciding to put the company up for sale, and TaylorMade purchased it.
Uh-huh. And now you said you were retired, but I guess you still had the itch to do some more inventing and things, because 2018 you started a new venture called Breakthrough Golf Technology.
Yeah, you said retired, but we didn't say smart. So here I am again. The common thread is this: I'm only interested in a product that has a technological base, not a good marketing story.
Uh-huh.
Because golf is a marketing business. People think of golf, amateurs particularly, think of golf as a product business. But it is not. It is a marketing business. Golf clubs are not sold. Golf clubs are bought.
Mm-hmm.
That means you've got to influence the buyer to get up, go someplace, make a purchase, and that is called big-time marketing dollars. And so let's say the new drivers that are out that are very, very good are effectively a version of the drivers last year that were very, very good.
Right.
Because would be kind of insulting to a company to say, "Oh, wait a minute, this new driver you just came out with, it's so wonderful. You mean the ones you did last year were bad? Did you rip off the public?" And of course, that's not true.
Right.
So it's a marketing-based business, and that's fine. But that wasn't that was never my interest. My interest was a technology-based, something that you could prove had an advantage. And that's what became the genesis for Breakthrough Golf, a putter shaft, of all things, I might say. But if you think about putters, there's two things about putters that really kind of woke me up, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
The putter designs. I mean, gosh, you go to a golf store and there's 46 million putter designs there, and they're all good. They're very well done, and the heads are large, and they have weight distribution, so the head doesn't twist, and so on and so forth. Well, through the rest of that club, there's a steel shaft.
Mm-hmm.
And the steel shaft has been around for about 70 years.
Right.
And I don't think there are very many things that we use on a daily basis that are 70 years old.
It's true.
And what has happened is, as these heads have gotten larger and heavier, they stress the steel shaft. And the shaft, if you can't see it, but during the putting stroke, the shaft actually wobbles or oscillates slightly. And when the shaft is doing that, the head is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So the head does not return to the ball square on a consistent basis. And yet, in the modern putting stroke on smooth and fast greens, having the head return to the ball square is absolutely the heart and soul of the putting stroke.
Right.
So we designed a shaft that mitigates that oscillation and does return to the head square. And this is my point. It is technically better. We tested it. We third-party tested it. We challenged the people that were doing the testing to prove that we were wrong, that it didn't work the way we said it did, but in fact that it does. So it is a technically superior product. That said, getting that message across to the golfing world is a challenge.
It is very difficult because it seems, as you said, it is a marketing business, and it's also a cash business. If you're paying a pro, they'll play the product sometimes, whether it helps their game or not. And if you're a small company, I guess it makes it very difficult to get that foothold.
Yeah, they're a pay-for-play business. There's no question. And if you talk to a touring pro, let's say if you go out on tour and talk to a touring pro, the first person that shows up is his agent, and takes over the conversation, and then we get into the how much routine and so on and so forth.
Right.
And as a small company, we don't pay. And our problem is even worse than that. Our shaft is the same weight, same balance, same everything, and so on. So it's not like there's a big adjustment. Mm-hmm. We recognize that you can't do that to a tour player. You've got to put something in their hands that feels, quote, normal to them.
Right.
But we can shaft them up with our shaft, which is better than what they have, and they can putt very poorly. Because occasionally they do putt poorly.
Right.
They're human beings.
Uh-huh.
This is not you put it in the putter and you start making everything. Sorry, It doesn't work that way.
Right.
What we do say and we stand behind is over the course of a season, when you look at your data, it will improve. We know it will improve. But again, to the tour player, I'll try it, I guess. What the heck, And he tries it, and he doesn't putt that well for the first time or so.
Uh-huh.
He's 50-50 to put it away because they want instant gratification, and it just doesn't happen.
Right.
So it's that much more difficult. The people that the phenomena that I see with people that I know that use it is when they first get it, it's like, well, I'll try it. I try everything. What the heck? And I talk to them maybe a week or two later. And I'm like, how's it going? Well, I don't know. I think so. I think it's okay. Then I see them a month later, and I ask them, and they say, "Oh, you couldn't. I take it home with me at night. You couldn't tear it out of my hands. I love it. I know I'm putting better. I know I have more control. more confidence, and the game is more fun. Well, that's kind of the world we live in. As I say, it is what it is.
With the advent of more coverage on TV, and you see a lot more. I remember when I was a kid that when you watched, you saw the last couple of holes on TV, and you only, saw the top groups and the best shots and all of that. With the advent now of all these other channels and the more coverage of the 18 holes, you see, you see the pros making screwed up shots, for lack of a better term, and I've noticed that the putting has seemed to have how can I word it, slipped a notch. It doesn't seem as accurate, and I guess that's only the point that you're seeing more shots now. But is it almost like sometimes I feel like it's becoming a lost art, the short game, and everything is power, power, power. Am I wrong in that, or is this some truth?
Power sells. Mm-hmm. Power sells. If the golf tournaments were watching the guys make a bunch of 6-footers, the viewership would be single digits.
This is true.
Nobody watched. But watching the guy hit a 362-yard drive over the fairway trap and so on, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's good TV. And professional golf is television entertainment. But people, again, don't understand that. They talk about golf like golf at the club is the same as golf on TV. Forget the skill factor, which is eons different.
Right.
It's professional entertainment. The producers, you're right, with all the different cameras now and their ability to show things, are going to show spectacular shots. I mean, again, I guarantee it. If you'll think of this, we're watching a tournament and 2 or 3 guys are fighting it out for the lead, and then the camera will switch to another pro who's maybe 7 or 8 shots off the pace.
Mm-hmm.
And he's teeing off on a par 3, and he's going to hit it close.
Yeah.
In fact, he might even make it, right? It's good television.
Right.
It's a spectacular shot, flies up with the green, almost goes in. That's good. That's what the producers want. The fact that he's not in the chase, so to speak, for that moment in time is irrelevant because it's television entertainment.
Right.
But I will give you an interesting stat. I did a study on putting statistics over from 2003 to 2018, and if you this is Tour ShotLink data, their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
They actually putt a little worse now than they did 15 years ago. And you'd think they putt better because, again, if you go back to television, what do you see? Oh, there's player X.
Yeah.
By same scenario, he's not in the hunt. He's got a 68-foot putt with 9 breaks, and he makes the darn thing. It's exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's true.
So you think, my God, those guys make everything. Well, they don't show all the ones they miss because that's not good television.
Right.
So there's no question about the fact that it's a power game, and a power game is what sells. But the old show is, if you drive for dough, you putt for. You drive for show, you putt for dough.
Yeah.
It isn't how many shots. So it's always the guy that's in the hunt, or guys that are in the hunt, are having a good week putting.
So we've had all this innovation in the club head itself with the putters, and nobody thought to look at the shaft. I mean, it seems like a weird thing. I mean, with all the club fitting and the measurements and the weighing and how they're so worried about grams of weight, and yet they continue to use, or we all continue to use the same old thing.
Yeah, it's a very, very slight change. You can't pick it up unless you have equipment that's specifically designed. For example, you can't pick up this change if you're testing with humans.
Mm-hmm.
The human error is too great. You can't pick up this change if you're putting on a regular green. The green surface becomes too much of a factor, and so on and so forth. We have a lab with a perfect green and a robot to produce the putting stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And in that kind of environment, we can track the variation in the shaft and what we had to do to fix it and so on. And frankly, it's another one of the joys of business. We'll sell them to say a club fitting operation, and they'll have a little 6-foot putting green or 8-foot putting green, and they'll say, well, that doesn't make any difference. We tested it. We can't find any different. Well, they can't, because you can't do it in that environment. You have to have a specific environment that picks up these kind of variations. And again, it's you just have to hang in there with that kind of stuff, because it's the nature of the business.
So what does the future hold now for Breakthrough Golf Technology? More work on the shaft to improve it even more? Will you be getting into putter heads and expanding that? What
we
about
just came out with we just came out with a new tour version.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little slimmer. Other than that, it really isn't that much different, but it has a little different look. It's again, when you're dealing with a tour, you're dealing with very specific reactions to things, and we heard a couple of comments that because our shaft is it's not big by any stretch of the imagination,
right,
but it is slightly bigger than a steel shaft.
Right. And
that was the first thing they noticed. They think, oh boy, it's too bad this is not the same diameter as a steel shaft. So we said, okay, so we'll make it a little bit thinner. So that's just coming out of the marketplace. We are working on some other products, but it's the same principle. If they don't bring something to the party, they're not a marketing story. If they don't bring something to the party, then we're not doing it. So we'll see what happens.
Now, can the average, will this shaft help the average golfer as well, the high handicapper? And if it does, where can you purchase it from?
Yeah, it will help the average golfer even more. Some of my most loyal customers are women, because women golfers, women amateur golfers, on the whole, aren't very good putters. And they just don't put the time and the effort in. They got better things to do, and I understand that. But they love the putter. They absolutely love it. And for people who want to get one, there's a website, Breakthrough Golf Technology, and they could access the website, then do all the web things that I don't even understand. But we sell a lot of them through, so to speak. Because people out there.
That's right. And well, you're breaking up a little bit now.
Sorry. Come to our it's way.
Well, we're all looking to improve, and hopefully this is a step in the right direction, and we've tried the bigger heads on the putters, we've tried the bigger grips, and it only makes sense that the shaft really is the thing that connects it all, and we're not really, that's the thing to work on now. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day and coming on today.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate talking to you guys, because it's a complex subject, to be honest with you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Barney Adams, and I know I enjoyed doing it. And that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Next week, we will have more events. Well, let's take a look at the schedule. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Barney Adams. I know I did. It was great fun talking to him. And but right now, let's take a look at the schedule. The PGA next week will be playing the World Golf Championship, the FedEx St. Jude Invitational, which Justin Thomas won the last time. And they also will have the Barracuda Championship, the off tournament. The champions are off again. Corn Ferry will be playing the Utah Championship. The ladies, as we said, are off. They will be playing, of course. They're playing the Olympics, and on the European tour, they will be playing in the WGC as well. A number of the players, and their off tournament is the Hero Open. So that is the schedule for next week. Little light again, but it's mostly because of the Olympics and going on. So that's why they're off these events. And the champions had the British Open, the Senior Open. So that kind of plays all into it. So let's see. That's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come back next week and listen again and watch it on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button, because it helps us to build the community and to bring in new listeners. And remember, as you walk down the fairway of life, you must smell the roses, because you only get to play one round. And I'll see you next time on another edition of Chip Shots.